Hey guys, what we're going to be doing today is another but we're going to focus on drums. And when I say drums, I mean kicks, snares, claps, hats, rides, crashes, build-ups, subwoofers, processing chains, and everything else in between. This is strictly heavy bass music, and we're going to give you some tips and tricks on how to get the music loud, clean, and mean. Let's check it out. First, we're going to listen to this. Okay. So, this is going to be the rhythm pattern. Now, let's listen one more time. Build up, pre-drop, hit, and then it gets into the drop. This is the first hit of the drop. In most bass music, you're going to have this. You're going to have the first hit, and then it's going to move on to your main lead. Alright, now this is the side chain. I could put the tutorial in the link in the description. This kick that we're using is going to be 2 different kicks layered. I chose to do this just to have a super fat kick. Usually you're going to be clipping when you have 2 kicks, but my kicks are going to a limiter. So that means that every time the kick plays, it's going to limit at 0. Both of them together sound like this. Cool. When it comes to kicks, sample choice is very important. These samples are from the rhythm dubstep weapons. All of these samples are on Splice. You just need to get you some Splice. It's very affordable and there's very good samples. So there's 2 fat kicks here that I layered, but I also wanted to show you guys how to create a fat kick just out of regular samples that you might have. So first off, here's a cymatics kick. We got this other Holly kick from Splice. Those are just regular kicks, and then we got another like dubstep kick. And then when you combine them all together, you have another fat kick. Now, on the kick, you can add a glue compressor to make it loud. I use that as a standard. You can also add a saturator to make it fatter, but just use very little, because too much can definitely overpower. This is super distortion, just a little bit. And also, of course, you can use EQs, and each song is going to be different. Maybe you'll want to cut this from your kick, or maybe you want to, cut off some of the basses from your kick, or cut off all the highs from your kick. It's up to you to experiment to see what sounds good, because it's unlimited possibilities. Every song is different. Remember that. Next, we're going to move on to the snare. My snare is 3 layers. There's also a triangle. This is the pan snare for Tearout. This is the fat snare. Let's hear all layers. That's the first layer. This is the second layer. There's a triangle. And then we got a 3rd layer. Transient snare. The transient. Right as soon as it hits, it's fat. Alright? Combine those together, you get your fat snare. Snare layering 101. You get your main snare, you get your tonal sound, you get your transient. That's perfect layering. When you layer any snare, this is the pan snare. You want to have this in Tearout. It's amazing. It's Water Malone, not Post Malone, Water Malone. If you look at the original snare and you look at this triangle, I have a saturator going negative just to bring it down. I have a delay to make it wide. I have this EQ and this frequency shifter, which is doing a lot. Listen without. Listen with. Depending on your song, you want to mess with this up, down, define. You find the right tone. You could even look at a note frequency chart to get it perfectly in key. During this, a -231. So yeah, 231. You tune your tonal layers to make it sound even more perfect. Boom, cool. Now, we're going to get into the rides. We're going to get into the crashes. When you think about this, you just think of a drum set, Study what a drummer is doing on their drum set at the top. They got their crashes, they got their rides, they got their cymbals. They even got some triangles sometimes. You know, even the toms at the bottom. Those are our tom fills. But these are the rides we have here. On my song, which this is from one of my songs, I chose a simple just ride. And a crash at the beginning. At the beginning of the drop, it's right here at 33. There's a space. There's no rides going, because that's the hit. In other songs, you could layer your rides even more, so you can add more rides. So here's an additional ride. You can add a hi-hat as well. This is adding more rhythm. This is adding faster pace. But at the beginning of the drop, it's not there. And then at the second part of the drop, it gets faster. To build up energy, you just mess around, layer your rides. Keep in mind the volume is turned down, and you're going to mix them in. And it's all about how it sounds, not about the way all this looks. Yeah, the hats, you can get even funky with them and add faster. You can add fills, triplets, and experiment. So those are the rides. Snares done, kicks done. Now the fun part. The sub. So right here, we got our first pattern. So this is just serum. All these oscillators are off, except the sub. There's an LFO. Don't mind these. These are not doing anything. It's only on this level. That's the main thing. We have an effect. It's only a soft clip distortion. Look at the LFO. Look at the shape. It's a long shark fin. We call this the whale donk. And it's at a bar. It's slow. It's just the first hit. It gets faster in this section. Let's look at the sub. It's still at a bar, but we're just cutting up. So this is the beginning. This is the next. It's just the same exact patch, but cut up. That's my sub that I made in my song. But when you guys make, your track, you can make different subs. For Serum, let's go back to the same patch that we had, the very simple patch. But this time, we can mess with the LFO rate. So this is a half note, a quarter note. We can go eighth note. And then 16th note. When you imagine your basses, you'll have basses go rah, 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 da 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 da, rah, 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 da da rah, rah. And you're going to literally match every bass with the sub and how fast it goes. And in this music, we use a lot of triplets. So turn on triplet right here and mess with the triplets like this. The triplets add spice and funk, where spice and funk was not foreseen. That's heat. Let me just show you the sub without the processing. Here, this is a weak sub. You add the processing. We got fat sub. Alright, so let's show you how these are just meters. They're not doing anything to the sound. We got dry sub. That's what the original patch is. We're on quarter notes. Now, we add an erosion to add noise. Wide noise. That's the sauce. Then we add overdrive. Keep in mind on the erosion, it's 71%, 71 amount. On the overdrive is 23%. We have it filtered to, the mid-highs, and 36 drive, 24 tone. It's just like a wee bit there. Without, with. That's it. Adds a bit of funk. All right, and then we have brute compression. I'm pretty sure this is just, it's already there in Ableton, ready for you. Just type in brute, like the halo, and then turn it on. In my song, it's at -8 threshold, which is right about to get there. And then 62% dry and wet. Without. With. Next, we already got an OTT. This is the Kompany OTT. And without. With. So adding more mids, adding more highs, adding more lows. And I'm trying to remember where I got this preset. I'm pretty sure I just watched one of his tutorials and then copied the settings and then named it Kompany OTT, called it a day. So you should do the same now and then also call it a day. There's a lot of noise, a lot of white noise. So we get the special sub-notch EQ all day. And it sounds like this. It's literally just cleaning it up. I think this is very important. Last but not least, we got the Pro L. I recommend you get this any way you can because this is what Skrillex uses. He says if he could have only one plugin, it would be this plugin because, this is how we get it clean and loud. It's the most important thing in this music. So it's at the end of the sub, just setting it good at 0, limiting it at 0. That means it's not clipping above 0, it's just stopping at 0. Perfect. This is what it sounds like. Nice. Now, let's show even more ways to make the sub cooler. Alright, so here's our sub. Now, get Isotope Trash right here. Retro. GAWM, for example, loves Iris Alias. I'm sure you heard that. You know what I'm saying? Now, when you're in here, you want to mess with the drive. And then you can mess with the shape. What? Oh, that's just so clean. With this one? Okay. See, that's just one preset. This one right here, a bit wrench. Mess with the drive. So you can make literally a million subs just using all these like rusty bits. Oh my gosh. And then you have your dry wet over here. Just remember, if this is at the end, this EQ is not doing anything anymore. So you might want to add another one, just to clean it up. And keep that in mind. You're adding highs, so it's gonna sound. But as Barely Alive once said, it's okay to have mids and highs. You just got to keep your subs alone and just experiment with the different ways and different EQs on your sub. Perfect. That is the subwoofer. Now the build-up drums. Drop. Perfect. Now this is the build. So the simple kick. And we could even, depending on your song, you could get more technical with it. On my song, I just wanted to keep it simple. You could do this, you can make it even faster. When you're making a build, there's a couple things you want. You want a clap, you want a snare, you want a kick. On your kick, you could even filter it out, so you don't need to make it sound like a kick. You can make it sound like this type of kick. Filtered out kick. Or you can do a filtered in kick, so when it's building up. And then you can automate these things. So for example, you just right-click Show Automation, go right here, go right here, go right here, and you can build it up. And you can filter in a kick. and it moves with it. You mess with these on your build-ups and it sounds amazing. And you can do this on kicks, claps, and snares. On our claps, what we did was a rhythm with the clap. So if you listen, now usually you could just do this, be boring, and that works, but you can also have rhythm, because there's going to be a lot of other things just doing regular quarter notes or eighth notes. This will make people dance. And then it gets into regular. So you still want your eighths and your sixteenths, but you want to have some groove with the snare. Fast snare, building energy. Faster. Cool. During the build, you want it to pitch up, and the snare is perfect to pitch up. Now you can, consolidate it and pitch it up as an audio track. This is usually how you do it, but you could have even more control by doing a different method. This is the first method. 12 is an octave. So it's going up an octave. Or you can make it go up half an octave. These are the methods that are usually used. Or you can use the frequency shifter, which is also a very, very good method. We can automate the fine knob, which is this knob right here. And we're gonna just automate it up. Beautiful. That's easy, fast, and simple. You don't have to consolidate it. You can bring it back to normal. And then you got a simple build up. Build it up again. Boom. Easy. Alright, cool. At the beginning of the build up, there's a sub drop. You can start adding loops. So look at this loop. That's a snare loop that's also building up. And then this loop. More snare loops. You want to build as much energy as possible. It's definitely okay to use loops. These loops are from Splice. Listen to the build with the loops now. Awesome. This actually has a pretty short build-up. It's only 8 bars. Usually you can do 16 bars. On the last bar, so this 32 bar, it's going to be empty, and that's where the pre-drop is. So now for my pre-drop, we just had an impact, a gun, and a shoot. And it all goes like, and then you have the sub. Nice. Yep. So this is a tom fill. Simple saturator and glue compression. How to make your own little fill. You can get a tom fill like this, and then you can chop it up. You'll just chop it up into little pieces, and then you lay them out in a pattern like this. And you want it to flow. And then we add a ride. And then we add a snare. And then we have a laser at the end. So now if you listen to this fill, it sounds like that. And then with the mix, you can experiment in a billion different ways to make these fills. You can have more tracks. You can have 6 different tracks, have multiple tom fills. You can cut anything however you want. Just experiment and find a dope pattern. We went over the kicks, the snares, the rides, the build-ups, the subs, and some of the processing. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want more videos like this, let me know. If you want other types of videos, let me know in the comments down below.
You guys have a really good day. Bye. Uppercut.